Can I have the mic? Thanks. So, welcome. You're the lucky ones, right? So you have a seat. So I hope I can live up to the expectations here. Thank you for the introduction. So, my thesis is software is no longer written, it's negotiated. And I will talk a little bit about this in this presentation. And it will also go into requirements and architecture, actually, like the title of my speak is. So, a little bit about myself. I'm a software developer. I've been coding for, well, more than 20 years. And I've seen how coding has changed. And last year, perhaps 1.5 years, I've been coding with AI assistants more and more. I'll tell a little bit about a few projects that I did. And I will tell a little bit about what I think it is going to. So first, 2 examples. So you all know we had elections in the Netherlands, right? Yeah. Okay. So at the elections, parties always emphasize what the difference is between them, right? But together with Jos van Essen, I thought, well, perhaps we should look at their programs and figure out what the consensus is. So we developed consensus card. We developed this in 1 day with 2 persons. So we scraped basically all the programs of the parties. We distilled the main themes. We got the user interface up and running in 1 day, 2 persons. Of course, this isn't something you would deliver for a nuclear plant, right? But it is really, really fast. And we did this with AI assistant. I think we have not coded 1 line for this whole project. Another example I did together with Ivor Bosloper, who is over there, which is something that is not throwaway code. So we were asked by agile, which is a corporation of farmers, to help them with their administration. And what we basically did, we gave their current administration an Excel sheet, 2 Excel sheets actually, to an AI, and we said, well, please make a web app of that. Yeah? It didn't go that simple, of course. But it took us around 2-3 days with 2 persons to build the full app. And this is going to be, they're going to experiment with this next month, and probably from January on, they will be using this in production. So AI assistant coding is not only for a vibe coding project, something that you do only once. The funny thing, actually, which I think is interesting also for later on, we gave it the name of the application, or of the organization, Agicycling. It is a corporation of recycling stuff at the farm. The AI got it, and they got the Excel, and it went on building a real nice application for cycling from farm to farm. It was really enthusiastic about that. So only the name, we only gave the name. We didn't tell him anything about cycling. But that is something that can happen, and that is when the AI goes away with your requirements. So, I told you that I've been programming for 20 years, so I also had a few different phases in programming. So, I think the last century we had like more waterfall model, where we plan something, we wrote down the requirements, some design, and then we built something, right? Okay, then we got the beginning of the century, the agile movement, much more iterative. So instead of delivering every year or every few months, we delivered every month or every few weeks, right? I think we're on the edge now of something that the cycle time is going to increase even more. So we go from a prompt to generate to review. So the implement, build, and generate phases, they decrease. They are getting much shorter cycle times. The generate is really only a few minutes now. When it used to be in the build phase, it used to be a day, perhaps a few days, right? And previously, even a few weeks or months. So what's going to be the effect of this? Okay. First, I want to distinguish three types of development with AI assistance. The co-pilot mode. So you drive, so you're building something and the AI is assisting you. You write the definition of a function, it will give you a hint about the function. Who does that? Who's working with that? Yeah, pretty much. The second one is chat-driven. So you chat within your IDE or something, and it builds your code. You don't have to touch the code anymore. Who does that? Almost the same, or perhaps even bigger group. And I think you will, at least at the hype, you will have the vibe coding. You just express your intent, and it will generate a whole application for you. Who does that? Yeah? Okay. I think we're in between the chat and the vibe coding. I think that's where the sweet spot is right now. Because the vibe coding, it makes so much assumptions. So the assumption about cycling, for example, it has to be taken back sometimes. Okay. I would like to build something here. I know that about half of you will probably know how this works, but I want to give a real idea about how you can build something, and I will reflect on that. So, we all know cursor? Yeah, so the tool is not important. You could do this with basically any tool. But let's say, can we build something like a recommender for Pygrunn? So you go to a conference and you just want to know what presentation would you like to go, right? Just a sec. So we start with, please create a recommender app for Pygrunn. The schedule is available at the schedule, right? I should be in the audience here because I'm not talking anymore. It's waiting for me. No. So basically what I did, I only gave it an idea, right? I didn't give detailed requirements or any technical direction. I only gave it the idea. Somehow they always start programming in Python. I don't know. It might be it's linked to me, but let's see, we have some files already. Oh, let's see what it does. It's testing the application already. Oh, I lost my cursor somewhere. Okay, so what does it say? We can run it. Pooh. Sure. What is it? Python CLI.py, right? Or recommendation, a recommender. This is really useless. Interactive mode. Shall we do that? Yeah. Oh.
Python 3.
Oh, probably, yeah. Pygrunn, of course. Any? Sorry? Pygrunn, eigen. That's a good one. Why did it take that one? That's next requirement. It said Pygrunn. Are you sure? Okay, let's go. What's machine learning? The speaker name. Okay, great. So what you see is that it got a working product, but we only gave it like one sentence, right? So it just guessed all the requirements, right? So of course it is something working, but we have to give it a little bit more, well, direction. So I think at least this is a command line interface. Do we like that? No? Okay. So let's just ask it if it could at least make it a web app, right? I give it a little bit direction. I ask it to use Gradio because that's a really simple web framework you can build in with just one file. I think I should have told it to use to create a new environment, but this will mess up my Python stuff. Let's do it for this conference. Okay, so what do we have now? We have the Python app. Let's do it again like this. It's really horrible. Oh. Okay, this is a little bit messed up right now. At least it's a real demo, right? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, this is where non-developers get stuck. So you all know. So I should have created an environment here, or ask it to create an environment to run it in. Let's see. I can show an example of this one. I did exactly the same thing yesterday, and I got this application. So it's a little bit a different application.
Would this be easier?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's too big. Bigger screen.
And what I asked it to do, except for building the whole application, which worked, which is just a web application, I also asked it to write down the requirements of the actual thing it built. And so I only gave it the two directions I just did live. And this is, I asked it to, okay, please write down the user story you actually implemented. And this is what it wrote down. So what are the odds that these are the requirements that you want to implement it? Huh?
0.
0, right, yeah. So, I'm going to leave that for now. Switch this back. Okay. So we had an interaction with our AI, and we built some piece of software. Yeah. Thanks. So we had the interaction with the AI, and we built a piece of software, right? Now, what did we add, or what did we have to add, and what did the AI do? I think that's interesting, because what the AI can do, we don't need to do that anymore. But what we need to add, the small pieces perhaps, that's what we should focus on, right? So what did the AI do? Basically, it wrote everything. So it wrote the code, the tests, it writes documentation, README files, it can write your requirements afterwards, it can write your architecture afterwards. It can search for components that do specific things. It does it much better than developers, because if you want to find a specific library, it's already in the large language model. Of course, you have to check, right? And that's the bridge to what we have to do. So what we as humans have to do, we have to check what is getting out there. We have to correct that. So the technical direction, the design principles that we want to apply, keep it simple. As you saw, the AI just grabs you and builds whatever it thinks that you want to build. So you have to press it down and make it a little bit more simple. But also what we should add is actually the idea and the priorities. So what should be built, right? Does it make sense to anybody? Yeah? We have to review it and we have to do the trade-offs. So I think that is the return of the requirements, right? So the AI can't guess what we want, but we have to define that. And I think it will not get back in a form of requirements that we used to do, not as documentation, but more as an expression of your intent in your discussion with the AI about the product. Yeah, the documentation, it can generate documentation for us. We don't have to do that anymore, right? We should read it and review it, even if it's very much. Yeah. So we have a chat, and based on that, we generate our code. Where have we seen this before? We only have this left, right? We don't have to change the code anymore. We only do the chatting, the conversation. I think we have done this before. We have high-level programming languages which actually generated our assembly code. We don't look at assembly code anymore, right? So my prediction is that we don't look at the code anymore in the future. So in the end, the conversation will be the definition of your project. And the AI will be the compiler from your project definition to the code. Does it make sense to anybody? Yeah? The trouble is that with this step, it's deterministic, right? So we know what's going to happen if we write the code like this. If we do it on a different computer, it will be the same. For this step, it will not be the same. Not even on the same computer. Not even if you have a different language model, it will be to build something different. But it will build something that will conform what you've been discussing with the AI. It will build something similar. So I think conversation will be the next programming language in that sense. Yeah. So anything that you need except for the conversation, the code, the documentation, the readmes, any assets, diagrams can be generated. We don't need to do that anymore. But if you look at it like this, there's, I think, one trouble, and that is scale. Yeah? If you have a lot of conversations about the project you're designing, and other people also have conversations about the project you're designing, how can you make sure that you're still talking about one thing? I think that's where the challenge is right now. And I think perhaps we can learn from that from what the architecture community tells us. So the architecture community helps us to structure large things, right? But I think the role of the architect will change. So it won't upfront define an architecture, but it will, at the end, add the structure to something that is being generated. So basically, you're restoring the structure or changing the structure after the fact. Some things might never change, actually. Anybody knows this one? So the only thing we have to change is, right? That was my talk. I've not been seeing how much time I have, but
5 more minutes, but we can start Q&A.
okay.